Welcome to the 700 Club. Hurricane warnings are in effect along the Louisiana coast as Tropical Storm Barry began hitting the parts of the state early today.
People there are getting ready, and forecasters say it's expected to bring heavy rains and widespread flooding. George Thomas brings us the story.
Thousands of Louisianans are breaking out sandbags or fleeing to higher ground as Tropical Storm Barry threatens to turn into the first hurricane of the season.
This is going to be a major weather event for a huge portion of the state of Louisiana.
Clarence Brooks has lived here in Plaquemines Parish for 65 years. He has lived through Hurricane Katrina and, like so many residents, isn't taking any chances.
Yeah, we lost everything. We started from scratch. But we didn't lose everything because we still had our lives and our health.
The forecast shows Barry making landfall as a tropical storm. And because it's a very slow-moving system which could stay in the area longer than usual, authorities are warning residents to brace for serious rainfall and widespread flooding, posing a huge potential test of New Orleans' flood defenses.
Already the ground's very saturated, the Mississippi running very, very high to portions of Louisiana. It's not going to take that much to produce problems, but we are talking about very heavy rainfall, the potential for a foot or two of rain along into the east of the track. And notice it's only slowly making its move off toward the north.
Hurricane warnings are up for most of the Louisiana coast as the weather system has already brought dangerous storm surge, heavy rains and gusty winds to city.
Well, I'm more concerned because if it turns to the east and we're on the wrong side of it, you have a lot of rain, you have a lot of flooding going on.
So the state's governor is telling folks to get ready and not wait until the last moment.
I'm imploring residents to prepare.
Parts of the region could get up to 25 inches of rainfall. Making matters more precarious, the Mississippi River is already at extremely high levels, above 16 feet in some places. In New Orleans, where 50 levees failed back in 2005 during Hurricane Katrina, the city's mayor is warning residents that water is going to be their biggest threat.
We do expect that this storm will be slow moving. We're going to get heavy rainfall for up to 48 hours.
In low-lying areas like Plaquemines Parish, some 10,000 people have been ordered to evacuate ahead of the storm. Tropical Storm Barry is expected to make landfall sometime between late Friday night into Saturday afternoon. George Thomas, CBN News.
Well, New Orleans certainly needs to get prepared for this, because if you're talking 2 feet of rain on top of historic levels at the Mississippi River, that's a recipe for disaster. Operation Blessing is already pre-positioning teams to provide relief work. If you'd like to donate to our Operation Blessing Disaster Relief Fund, you can write us at CBN Center, Virginia Beach, Virginia, 23463, or you can call us right now, 1-800-700-7000. Well, in other news, the federal deficit is going to be much higher this year. It's expected, get this, to reach $1 trillion. John Jessup has that story from our CBN News Bureau in Washington. John?
That is right, Gordon. The government is getting closer to hitting that debt limit quicker than expected, and that could force an early vote in Congress raising the debt ceiling. CBN's Capitol Hill correspondent Abigail Robertson brings us that story.
Well, many lawmakers think with the U.S. Treasury set to run out of borrowing money by mid-September, just a few legislative days after they return from August recess, they can't wait until the brink to vote to raise the debt ceiling. And some, like Senator Chris Coons, advocate it's time to eliminate the debt ceiling altogether.
For us to default on America's sovereign debt would have significant consequences. One of the reasons that more countries and more investors around the world invest in American Treasury instruments is because we are seen as the most reliable issuer of government debt on earth. And to default on that debt would certainly harm that and increase our costs of borrowing. Folks who think we should continue to have a debt ceiling and be forced to vote on the debt ceiling believe that because they're concerned, as I am, about our deficits and our national debt. We should find responsible and bipartisan mechanisms to put in place reductions in our spending and our deficits. Coming right up against the debt ceiling, playing chicken with our debt ceiling year after year, is not the right way to do this.
Neither Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi or Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell have indicated yet whether or not we'll see a vote to address the issue this month or if they'll hold off until September.
Thanks, Abigail. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi is calling on Hispanic evangelicals to plead with President Trump to stop this weekend's planned raids of deportations of illegal immigrants across the country. This after she credited Hispanic evangelicals for the president's decision to call off the first round of deportations.
When you announced this before, I called, God bless you, some people of faith about this, evangelicals who support the president for other reasons, but who have been good on immigration issues, but usually. And basically, they were very concerned that this goes too far because these raids were not what they signed up for with President Trump. And I think their calls to the president made a difference.
Will you appeal to the president, though, to put off these raids?
I'm going to appeal to the people of faith, the faith-based organizations, to appeal to the president. I think that they put him in office and they have a better voice for this.
Pelosi said evangelical leaders told her many of the families facing deportation Sunday will be in church. Well, a Republican running for governor in the state of Mississippi sparked a media firestorm for refusing to let a female reporter go on a 15-hour campaign ride along with him unless she agreed to bring a colleague. Mississippi State Representative Robert Foster says he was following the Billy Graham rule and had promised his wife he would never be alone with another woman. Reporter Larison Campbell told CNN she felt she was being treated as a sexual object first and a reporter second. CBN News asked Foster in a phone interview if his campaign could have accommodated Campbell by bringing along another staff member. He told us the situation escalated before they got the chance.
He felt like it was a personal attack against her, and it never really got to the point of us trying to negotiate or work out those details before it went viral almost. I guess that it was an issue of me discriminating against her and sexism, and all of the feminists went nuts about it, and we just haven't even had an opportunity to get to the point of trying to work out the finer details.
Foster added he understands why Campbell might be offended, but said his vow to his wife and faith supersedes anyone's feelings. Well, after a number of complaints of bias by social media companies, President Trump hosted a group of conservatives at the White House Thursday, where he told them the tech giants won't get away with it much longer. Jennifer Wishon brings us that story.
The president signaled social media giants should brace for tough actions from his administration as he traded censorship stories with a crowd of conservatives. And demonstrating tensions between those conservatives and the mainstream media, there was even a scuffle in the Rose Garden. It happened as the conservatives at the summit waited alongside the White House press corps for the president to make a statement.
You're threatening me in the Rose Garden. You are a punk. You're not a journalist. You're a punk.
Go home. Journalist, go home. Hey, Gorka, get a job.
An explosion at the end of a day where conservative activists, thinkers, and influencers enjoyed an open and sympathetic ear from the president.
Together you reach more people than any television broadcast network by far, not even close.
Lila Rose shared how her group, Live Action, has been permanently barred from Pinterest, had viral videos buried on YouTube, and that's not all.
We have been for 4 years banned from doing any advertising on Twitter, and they told us that in order to reinstate our accounts, we'd have to stop calling for the defunding of Planned Parenthood and stop sharing our pro-life content.
Stories like hers are common.
The Daily Signal published a video last year with a pediatrician talking about the dangers of giving puberty blockers to kids. The video went viral on Facebook. In fact, it reached 70 million views when all of a sudden it disappeared. And we took our case to Facebook. We said, why did you take this down off of your platform? It took Facebook a little while to get back to us, but eventually they did restore the video and apologize for doing that.
A Hill TV American Barometer survey in December found 58% of voters think social networks are unfair to conservatives. The same poll found Generation Z, folks born in the mid-1990s and early 2000s, are the only age group that believes social media companies are not biased against conservatives. Missouri Republican Senator Josh Hawley says enough is enough.
Google, Facebook, Twitter, they've gotten these special deals from government. They've gotten a special giveaway from government. They're treated unlike anybody else. If they want to keep their special deal, here's the bargain. They have to quit discriminating against conservatives. You agree with that? No more.
Senator Hawley has introduced a bill that requires these big tech companies to prove their algorithms and content removal practices are politically neutral. Jennifer Wishon, CBN News, Washington.
Thanks, Jennifer. Gordon, back to you.
Well, they're not going to be able to prove that it's content neutral because they've been exercising editorial control over content for some time. And that will probably ratchet up before the 2020 elections, and it's going to get very political. Just recently, Amazon started taking down books from their website based on the content of the book, that the book talks about how someone left the gay lifestyle and became heterosexual. So if we're going to see this kind of content editing on these sales platforms, on these social media platforms, well, then, yes, the government does have to act. First Amendment rights of free speech don't extend to Facebook. They don't extend to Twitter. They don't extend to all of the social media sites. But if they're going to have the monopoly, where it's the only place you can get your views ever heard, well, then the government needs to come in. And just like it regulates all the utilities, are these now going to become a utility? They regulate all the terrestrial broadcasters. They regulate the phone companies. So it's about time that some regulation comes into being here so that we do have a free and open society.